Is Kathleen going to be with us?
She said yes, but her son has COVID, so she wasn't sure.
Wednesday, September 1st, 2021 will come to order. I'd like to remind everyone to turn off your cell phones. And I guess we'll start with the invocation. Let's start with the invocation. I guess I'll give it. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this time that we can get together and discuss the very important issues before us. Please give us the guidance that we seek and be with us as we go through the process. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And Mr. Hansick, would you
please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we need a roll call? I don't see it on the agenda.
It's there.
Yeah, it's number 4.
Number 4. The one that says roll call?
Yes.
Yeah, that one, okay. Roll call.
Mr. Andrews?
Here.
Ms. Oliver? Here. Mr. Carr?
Present.
Mr. Hurston is running late. Mr. Parrish?
Here?
Mr. Hansick?
Here.
Ms. Coppola?
Here.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is citizens' input. Anyone wishing to address the board during this portion should state their name for the record. Each citizen is allowed up to 2 minutes to express their opinion.
I would like to ask the chairman's approval to waive that 2 minutes. Since we are involved in a meeting that primarily involves golf contours, and since my wife and I are the owners, I would like the opportunity to give a statement and a little background as to golf contours, what it does, how it does it, and what we're faced with. Being restricted to 2 minutes does not let me hardly even give my name and address. I would appreciate an unlimited amount of time. I would like about 15 minutes of your time. Since we are the name of this particular meeting, I think we should have time to fully address it.
I believe 15 minutes is a little bit long. I will go.
What difference does it make, Paul, whether it's 10 minutes or 15? We're not going anywhere today. We're here to decide this.
Okay, I'll give you 15 minutes.
All right. Personally, my wife and I moved to Florida about 27 years ago. We have lived in Florida, frankly, any longer than anywhere else that we have lived in our life. It's home. Golf Contours was founded in November of 1998. We built our first residential door, in 1999. Our first building was over in the King Center off of Taylor Road, and we moved to the airport in 2000, occupying the building over here at the corner of Golf Course and Utilities, which now is, I believe, a machine shop. In 2002, we outgrew that particular facility and moved into the building we're in now. We needed space. We also, prior to moving to that location, were heavily, solicited and given proposals from DeSoto County to come up there off of Kings Highway to occupy a spec building with tax incentives, and which was considered at that time kind of a disadvantaged area. So they had all kinds of offerings. At that time, Fred Watts was still the airport manager here. And in discussing with Fred and with the airport board, I believe Mrs. Coppola was on at that time, and Don Lee, we were given the ability to stay here. We were given the ability to take the building we're in right now, which at that time was a garage, basically what it was. They put before us a proposal to stay. They would do some remodeling on the building, and that we would have a very much easier move across the street than going up 10 miles up the road. The airport enclosed what we call the Pavilion Walls. The Pavilion Walls were the back of the building, which at the time we moved in was just literally a roof. They enclosed those walls so that we would have, at that time, somewhere around 7,000 square feet of usable area. We had to install complete interior office structure. We had to install 483-phase electric, including all panels and interior wiring, 2 transformers, and all costs that were incurred by FPL, including running the 463-phase electricity across the street into the building. We installed all the new high-efficiency lighting, all new wiring, all air and vacuum lines, Cat 5 wiring, our dust collection system, our sprayer booth exterior vent to all EPA standards. And if you will remember at that time, EPA had an office on the airport. Then came 911, which was obviously a problem with all of us. And then Charlie. We were destroyed in Charlie. The doors which are the same type that are currently on the building, failed. All of our machines, raw materials, and power were gone. We were out of business 90 days due to what I feel was an excellent insurance program. All employees were fully paid. We had to replace all machinery within the building. It got to the point at this point where we were almost brand new because all of the machinery was new. We had expanded our capability at that time. And frankly, in 2004, when we reopened to 2006, 2008, we were going gangbusters. We were rebuilding the county. We were expanding our market. And at this particular time, I might mention that I have a 4-page list here of 225 individual customers that Gulf Contours does business with. And this is just in the last year. We are a very unique company in that we are a custom builder. We have equipment in there that allows us to do things that frankly nobody else in Florida can do. We have gone from the residential kitchen cabinets, whatever, into the commercial side of the business. Our largest customer is Tiffin Motorhomes. We build various components for all 3 divisions of Tiffin Motorhomes. We are now actually prototyping the 2023 models. Our press, because it's unique, we can build everything from decorative panels, countertops, vinyl applied to metal, and no one else in Florida can match us. Yeah, there are other guys that do residential, but probably 60% of our business is commercial. We do, obviously, tables, steps, countertops, vanities, and we have built for condos, restaurants, hospitals. If you go in every Ford dealership in the United States, you'll see a design kiosk in there that has to do with the 2020, I believe it's 20, maybe it was earlier than that, whenever they converted to aluminum panels on the pickup truck. We built the components for a kiosk in there that allows a customer to come in and to spec out their new truck. We've had problems over the years. We were behind from 2008 when the recession hit. We were up and down. Everybody was up and down. We got behind in rent. The airport was kind enough to bear with us, but we paid in full. The same was true of property taxes. We again got behind and set up payment plans with the county. We have just done that on the 3rd time. Then came COVID. I don't think anybody expected what COVID would do to us. At that time, we were in negotiation to probably sell the company. The suitors at that time pretty well said, wait a minute, we got to see what's happening. One of those suitors was Tiffin Motorhomes. Tiffin Motorhomes, if they would buy us, believe me, they would not just have Gulf Contours operation here. There's many other things that a company like ours could provide for them. The cash flow has always been a problem with everybody. We also had a fire in the dust collection system, and we secured a contractor to do the repairs to that particular building, or that section. The airport refused our estimate, saying that, number one, you had to replace the insulation in the walls. Those walls never needed to be installed in the first place, or the insulation in there never had to be installed in the first place. And I relate back to the fact that the airport authority didn't see fit to replace the insulation in our building when it fell about 5 years after Charlie. A move. We have been trying to see whether a move is possible. Frankly, there's no place to go in this county. The EDC has done surveys. We have talked to developers. We've talked to various other ones because of our requirements. We need a building that's about 10,000 square feet. The ceiling height's got to be 23 or more feet just because if somebody's ever been in our building, our equipment requires that height. The other big kicker is the 463 phase electricity. There ain't many places in this county that FPL has that availability. Or if it's brought in, they want your firstborn child as cost to do so. Our business is very unique. Our machinery is big, it's expensive, and it is very tough to move. The size and the weight and the cost. Plus, if we did move it, to the cost to reinstall someplace else, everything that we've got in this building over here, which I just outlined, all of the air lines, vacuum lines, electricity, everything. Plus, we've got downtime and loss of customers. Talking with Dave Gammon and with Kay Tracy, they can offer us, frankly, no alternative in Charlotte County. There is also a current employee shortage in this county. We have had the ability to work with the Department of Rehabilitation of the state of Florida to hire employees that are, let's call it, little disabled. And they have been great employees. But it is a special program that we have involved ourselves with on their part to give these people a job. It fills our need, it also fills their need. What do we see as an answer? One, we would like a 2-year lease. Allow time to see if an alternative location actually exists. Or, how about the airport authority building a building and leasing it to us? You've got all this money that you say you have, you want to be very business oriented. And last but not least, our other option is bankruptcy. Now, let's just talk about a couple of sideline things. In the last 5 years, I have no clue as to how many pieces that we have built for our customers. We provide a 5-year warranty on our product. Where are these people going to go? And that includes motorhome owners, that includes homeowners, that includes restaurants, that if something goes wrong or they need a replacement, they've got no place to go. Our customers, all 225 of them, an awful lot of them rely on us and only us because we are strictly a custom builder. Yes, we have standardized things, but you can walk in the front door and these people that are sitting back here have got the ability to go into the computer and design what you want. We can then build it. Nobody else does that in the standard that we do right now. Paul, I appreciate your time and he extended the thing to us. All I can ask from you is that you consider us more than just a new storage building for you, that we are a viable business, we put people to work, we pay taxes, and we have been a good neighbor. Thank you.
May I talk also, please?
Just a moment, ma'am. Just the record reflect that Mr. Hurston is in the room as the chairman. I believe the gavel should pass back. Just note the record that Mr. Hurston now has the gavel. Yes.
Yes, ma'am, you may.
Thank you. I am the other better half of this company. And I want to let you all know that it's not just us that it's affecting. It's affecting everyone in this community that does business with us. Not only that, I got a bill yesterday from the airport authority. You guys doubled, I should say, almost doubled our rent. It went from one amount and you doubled it. How can you do that in 1 month? The building isn't any better than it was a month ago. Matter of fact, it's not in very good shape. You're lucky to have a tenant there. I was talking to some of my customers today and they're just distraught to think that if you make us move or if you just won't allow us to stay here, they're upset. They're going to let you know that they're not happy. And I'm talking Naples, I'm talking Sarasota, I'm talking DeSoto, and I'm talking all the way up to Tampa. you know, it's up to you guys what you want to do with us. You have a conscience. I hope you have a conscience. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chairman Hurston, I'm Bill Dryberg. I'm a commercial realtor here in Punta Gorda, Charlotte County. I work for Caldwell Banker Sunstar Realty. I'm also the president of the Board of Realtors. And I work every day to try to bring businesses here to Charlotte County, and I've been very successful. Closed a deal the other day. The tenants are moving in tomorrow on a place down here on Taylor Road, and they're moving their whole operations out of Sarasota to us. I'm pretty happy about that. But by the same token, I'm working with another company out of Pittsburgh, and they want to come here to a site not far from where we're at now. But he reads the paper, and he saw this story about Jerry. And he called me up, and I spent almost 30 minutes on the phone trying to explain to him there was an airport thing and not the way the county treats people, because he seemed to think that maybe that's the way Charlotte County treats their commercial businesses. Now, this is a big company. They're going to come here and provide a lot of jobs, a lot of opportunity for people in Charlotte County, Punta Gorda. You got to be fair to this man. If you need that building, you've got the money, build him another building just like he wants and help him move. That's the only fair thing to do. People work with me because they trust me. Come on, folks. It's the best thing to do.
Do we have anybody else who would like to speak?
Hi, I'm David Rogg. I've been an employee with Jerry for 18 years. And I mean, just to be told, hey, sorry, you know, you don't have a job. I mean, that hurts personally. I mean, I worked with the guy. He's given us his shirt off his back sometimes during Charlie. He made sure we were all set. You know, everybody that needed help found help through him. And I mean, this really personally upsets me to find out, hey, I may not have a job after 18 years. So that's my 2 cents, and I hope you guys reconsider.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jaha Cummings. I'm a councilperson in the city of Punta Gorda. I also sit on the Florida Freight Advisory Committee. I'm speaking on behalf of renewing the lease for Golf Contours. I make a personal point whenever I can to advocate on behalf of the airport every opportunity that avails itself. I see Punta Gorda Airport as the economic driver for our community. It is the catalyst for job creation and for sustainability for our economy. As a member of the Freight Advisory Committee, I make a point that this area, in particular in the state, based on the airport and the roads and rails that converge in this vicinity, make it the optimum logistics environment for manufacturing businesses. I've advocated directly to the Office of Economic Opportunity, Economic Development Administration, Enterprise Florida, and Space Florida for any support that can be provided to the airports precisely because it is our job creator. Our ECAP zoning is designed precisely for this type of business. Golf Contours is the type of business that I speak of when I speak to people outside of our community. This is a scalable manufacturing business that employs locally to include persons with disabilities and can make use of the logistics environment that we're in. This business is scalable for marine industry, aerospace industry, and others. It's very important that we create industries that will provide a place for our graduates to go after they finish, as well as a place for people to grow their families. At this point right now, our young people do not see a future in staying in our community. This is the kind of business that gives them hope, and it's also a very good anchor for attracting other businesses to our community to operate within our airport ecosystem. As Mr. Goins said, at this present point in our community, we do not have industrial properties that have 460 three-phase power. If there was an alternative, there'd be a different conversation. But at this moment, this is where this needs to be, and it's important for our community to have this. So I just simply ask that you give him time to be able to, one, continue the business, keep his workers employed, but also that also possibly even consider either developing property within the airport or at least allowing him time to be able to move somewhere within this airport area to continue business. But I do ask that you do renew his lease. I think it's very important for us and very important for the image of the airport. And again, I'm your greatest advocate, and I do so because this is the type of business that I ask to attract to our community. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Anybody else? All right, we will end the citizens' input portion of the agenda, and we'll move on to the consideration of the Golf Contours lease. And Commissioner Oliver, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank all of you for coming today, and thank you for those citizens who came up and spoke today. It's really important that the board hear from you. I want to thank the chair and our CEO for allowing me to call this meeting. I didn't have the power to do it on my own, but I asked them, and they went ahead and came through on it. So I did ask them to call this emergency meeting because it has been the policy of this board to increase economic development of the airport, increase manufacturing, and be a hub for job creation. The decision to change a revenue-generating, job-creating building and turn it into a staging area for fuel trucks does not align with this board's stated policy. The result will eliminate a source of supplemental income, reduce manufacturing on airport-owned lands, and, most importantly, eliminate 14 Charlotte County jobs. We must, as a board, address this matter to assure our other non-aeronautical commercial tenants that they can feel safe investing in infrastructure at this airport without fear that at the end of their lease, the airport will strip all that away. This airport received almost $24 million in CARES Act money to continue operations, replace lost revenue, and pay for capital expenditures. There is no reason to violate our stated board policy and turn a viable income-producing property into a non-income-producing use. There is no compelling justification for taking an action that will directly cause the elimination of 14 Charlotte County jobs. It's bad policy and will have a chilling effect on our future growth if we continue in this action. Therefore, I ask that we direct Mr. Parrish to renew the commercial lease with Golf Contours upon commercially reasonable terms, a regular lease term 2 to 4 years, whatever is standard for the airport and in the industry, with the option to renew. If there is some compelling reason that we absolutely have to have this specific building, then I suggest that we build a spec building for Golf Contours. But at this particular moment, my motion is that we renew the commercial lease with Golf Contours.
All right, very good. We have, as I understand, a motion from Commissioner Oliver, and that was kind of long-winded, but the...
Let me start it.
But the motion is...
My motion is to renew the lease, the commercial lease with Golf Contours upon commercially reasonable terms with an option to renew.
Very good. We have a motion. Do I hear a second? Okay, I do not hear a second. Commissioner, your motion dies. Your motion dies. With that being said, I believe we don't have commissioner comments on our agenda. This meeting is adjourned. You want to make comments? I can open this meeting back up.
Yeah, I would like
okay. As chair, I'm going to open the meeting up as we're going to get some commissioner comments. Kathleen, we'll start with you.
I guess I'm probably the longest, I won't say oldest, but the longest person that knows Mr. Goins and his wife. And I've been through his business years ago, and they seem to be very hardworking people, and I would like to make some other accommodation for him. I don't know if we can build a building, if we have one available. I understand he has a successful business, and I would be willing to listen to other ideas on maybe helping him in some other way, because he has been with us a long time. I know there's been some difficulties with paying rent in the past and taxes, I think, with the county, but maybe we can have a further discussion on that if we choose to do some other type of help for him. That's all I want to say.
All right, thank
I'm
you.
open.
Thank you, Commissioner. Robert.
Okay. I've been wrestling with this for some time. I need to state for the record that we have given the Goins and renewed their existing lease twice. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 2 times, under the same offices that they were going to move or sell and all that kind of stuff. And I understand that. If in fact there was a different motion that was made to extend the lease, whatever that language may or may not be, there has to be a commitment that something has to happen. And the reason I bring that up, it's been in our master plan to clear that thing out of there. I've been in their building, and quite frankly, my opinion, it's a junk building, and I'd tear it down and build a new maintenance building somewhere else, and it still gives you the area to expand the fuel farm. So you got a conflict of what's going on, you got the master plan, and I think there needs to be a hard commitment from Gulf Contours that they're going to do something should there be a lease renewal considered by this board. I had an interesting comment that maybe someone ought to take a look at the fire station that's going to be vacated because of the new fire station on Burnt Store Road. That's a sizable building, and it's got tall ceilings. And I don't know what the county's going to do with it, to be honest, but could be an opportunity to something.
That's interesting.
Well, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but it might be something that'd be suitable for Gulf Contours. Yeah. So it's a different. I think all the arguments that were and statements that were made here are all valid, and but we still have to look at the future, and we need to take a look at a solution, not necessarily us providing a solution, but for Gulf Contours to find a solution for what we're looking at, because we've been looking at this thing since 2017 of having to move. So those are just my general comments on it.
Robert, what was the alternate? I missed the beginning of that you said. Was there some alternate location?
Well, there's going to be a fire station vacated with a new fire station, number 5 on Burnt Store Road. It's going to, I believe it's the one that's on the Zimmel. They have high ceilings in there. I don't know what the county's going to do about it. They may tear it down, but it'd be might be something to look at. But my main concern is there's got to be a commitment from Gulf Contours that something has to happen should there be a lease extension. And we've been down this road twice before. And let me let me go on. And I did ask that this board consider 2 workshops on this subject. And Gulf Contours elected not to come to the workshop, so there was nothing done at those 2 workshops, one way or another. So how do you put that all together? And I can understand the economic development and all that kind of stuff, but we still have to look at a permanent solution to the leasing of Gulf Contours, whether they stay or they go. And if there's an interim extension on it, fine, but it's got to have a commitment by them. And you know, the leases all were very specific that this date, August 31 of 2021, that's the end, no more renewals. And the previous leases had that language in, but haven't seen any movement. That's all I got.
Thank you, Robert. Mr. Andrews.
Well, in light of what Commissioner Hansick said and the history, how much more can we do? I mean, really, how much more can we do? You know, commitment has to be made, but how many times have commitments been made? And here we are again.
And that's the point I'm getting to. We keep coming back to this
We
point.
keep coming back
and
to
we
it.
keep coming back to this point when things expire.
You keep putting in the newspaper that you are looking to increase, you are
Please.
looking to increase
Madam.
the industry in this area.
Madam, please stop.
No, I'm not going to.
I'm listening to a fellow commissioner, please. Go ahead, Robert.
And you're right, I agree. It's a tough situation that we're in. But there has to be movement by Gulf contours to get something done. We've done it for the last 4 years.
In a hot concrete movement, but we keep, without keep repeating the same thing, we keep coming back to the same thing over and over again. And if you look at the rent history, it's not good.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Most of you know I'm probably out here quite a bit because I'm always working on airplanes, but I've had other tenants come to me, well, I have to pay my rent. Can I get away for a period of time not paying rents? It's unfair to the rest of our tenants for not paying their rent or taxes, so it's a tough situation. I could put a weight on this side of the scale, and I could put a weight on this side of the scale,
But the fact
Which
is,
way it goes.
the date was well-known for a long time. And commitments have been made, commitments haven't come to fruition. What do? I can't keep going. That's where I'm at, is we can't keep going without, I don't see a workable solution at this point. I honestly don't.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Oliver.
Commissioner Hansett, Commissioner Coppola, you both mentioned that you would have been open to alternate motions. Please, don't let your dislike of me do something that's going to kill these 14 people's jobs. You're directly responsible for this now because their lease expired. There's no place for them to go. So we've already said that, okay, once their lease expires, Mr. Carr is to go ahead and start the eviction proceedings. I hope you understand the ramifications of your actions, because it's frankly all 4 of my fellow board members who are making this decision to delegate our board policy making now to staff. Our board policy has been increased economic development, and now we're saying that we're going to take an income generating piece of property and make it non-income generating. We're not replacing it. We're not coming up with any solution. We're just saying, too bad, go ahead and move your multi-million dollars worth of equipment. It's not an office. You can just pick up and throw a desk on a moving truck. This is a massive operation, and I would like someone to please direct me to the exact page in our master plan where it says that we are going to turn this particular building into a staging area for fuel trucks. Because I've searched through it, I've bookmarked all the different pages, and I can't find a single place where this board was put on notice and gave the public notice so they could come in and talk about the fact that you were going to turn this building, this income-generating piece of property, into just a storage area. It's not right. And I hope that you understand that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Robert.
I just want to bring this thing into focus. If it wasn't for this emergency meeting, eviction process would have taken place. You've asked for the meeting. Don't put the ball on our shoulders. The ball's on your shoulders for a solution. I
offered one and couldn't get a second.
And it didn't go anywhere.
So you've said that you're open to other solutions. Please make a motion and I'll second it. That's a solution. I'm offering solutions. I'm happy to direct our CEO. He's the one who's here full-time, who's here to follow our board policy. If we direct him to find a workable solution, would that be something that you all would entertain? That will preserve a spot for golf contours and also meet our business needs? Is that something that you would find workable?
If I may, Commissioner, we've directed staff to administratively take care of this situation, and multiple times. I've heard Mr. Goins speak a couple times, and I sympathize with you. I'm a business owner. I've lived through the death of my spouse. I've lived through the economic crash of 2008, 2009. I've lived through COVID as a small business owner. And, what's concerning is you keep signing documents, and our attorney, he is bound by the law. That's all he can go by, is what you say you're going to do and what the agreement says. So really, this shouldn't even be, in my opinion, this shouldn't even be on a board level at this point. I think the solution, and I heard, David, you're one employee talking, the solution is with you. If we've directed staff to negotiate with you, and you...
Do I get a chance to?
Maybe, if after I finish up. But it's up to you to come up with a solution. Some of my deals that went bad over the years because of bad situations, I came up with solutions. And it's not this board solution. It's up to you to propose something.
Do I get a chance to answer?
Well, when I finish, like for the second time. But, I sympathize. I just want you to know that. But the responsibility is up to the chairman, CEO, president of the company to come up with a solution. You can't, I don't think it's right that you keep coming back and requesting. So, yes, sir, go ahead.
Well, I don't know whether what I said fell on deaf ears, but 2 years ago, I was well aware that they wanted us out of the building. The last extension of that was yes, they were not going to, at no time was there ever a talk of what was going to happen to that building. Nowhere. Nobody was ever told. We went out and we started searching. And if you want to talk to Gammon and you want to talk to other realtors, I'll give you names. We did due diligence on it.
We may call Mr. Gammon up to the podium.
Pardon me?
I appreciate that offer. I may call Mr. Gammon up to the podium.
And the point being that the search went on, but there ain't no easy fix on it. We did not know at that particular time when we signed that lease. Within 3 months after that lease was signed, which was not signed in September, it was signed around the first of the year. Now, at that particular time, COVID hit. The world came to an end, basically, and you know it. We had no thing. All I'm saying is we got put back in our schedule, and now we're faced with another resurgence of it, and people are getting scared again. Now, if you've got an answer, but I don't have one. Yeah, I'm supposed to be able to pull it out of thin air. I don't have that ability. I understand it's my wife and I, yes, we are the sole stockholders in that building, or in that business, which we've spent 20 years. Every piece of what I have, money-wise or whatever, my retirement sits over there.
Me too.
Now, you can give me, your whatever on it, but I'll tell you something. I think that it is very, very, I have asked before, and I've been in front of here before, saying the same thing. We continue to go out and look. This airport can get money from whatever grants. Ain't that way in the general business? I can't go to some political or write a grant request and something like that and get, $50,000 to move my business. You evict me. Yeah, I've tried. If you think I haven't tried, then you better talk to some of the people that I've talked to.
Mr. Goins, I got a question for you. You start talking land development, you're in my area now. But you say you need a 10,000 square foot building?
Yes.
What's so different about that?
Where it is located.
Okay.
The height of the ceiling.
The height of the ceiling, even industrial general or industrial light zoning, you're allowed 60 feet of height.
Well, you show me where those buildings are with a 463 phase electricity running down the street.
And what'll happen?
Pardon me?
If I show you that, what'll happen?
I'll certainly look at it.
Okay.
If that is an alternative, I have not been directed to any, nor could I find any. Jim, if you've got the ability to do that, great. We've been talking to people down here at the Air Center at Rob Humpel's building down there. We've been talking to them about the possibility, but that's a year away. The building that they're putting up right now, we do not have the ability to go into. We would have to go into phase 2. Would I love that building? Sure. It's a great building, probably fits our needs. Can I afford it? I don't know. It's just like, now all of a sudden my rent went from $4,000 a month to $6,000 a month. Now, if that isn't telling me you can't get us out one way, you'll force us out the other way, and that's on rent.
Let me ask. And let me ask this if I could. Was that in writing somewhere? Was that increase in writing somewhere?
Yes.
Where?
It's the holdover tenant's charge at 1.5%. It's in the lease.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was what?
I'm sure.
In the lease, if you hold over past the term, it raises your rent to 1.5 as opposed to 1. It's in your holdover provisions that were pointed out to you in your documentation.
You got to be a Philadelphia lawyer to read these lease and everything else. It all boils down in my mind that I would make due diligence, whatever. If I could find a buyer for the company that would entertain a building or an investment into it, and you have no idea how many people I've talked to at various stages about maybe acquiring. I'm 79 years old. I should have been retired maybe a long time ago, but I didn't. And it's just gotten to the point right now where I think to myself, what am I going to do? I can't live on Social Security the rest of my life. So everything I can do is to find a new operator of golf contours. We would do that in full diligence, but I can't do it with this hanging over my head of 90 days, 60 days, and now you're telling me you're going to evict me.
You can't move that equipment in 60 days. 90 days you pay.
Very good. Well, I'm glad you had an opportunity to express your opinion a second time. And do we have any more opinions or comments from our commissioners?
I'm just going to say one more time, we don't have a compelling need for that building. It might be convenient for us. There's no compelling need for us to take over that building. There's a compelling need to renew that lease with Gulf Contours. I ask that you just one more time consider extending the lease 1 year. I make a motion that we extend the lease 1 year.
Well, once again, I just say that is not up to us to tell him what to do. It is up to that president of that company to make a proposal, and we have administrative people.
Just gave you one.
We have administrative people here that we have earmarked to negotiate these types of things.
I understand, Mr. Chair, I understand, and respectfully, I would say that this is beyond their purview. This is a policy distinction here. Our policy is to increase economic development at the airport. That's our policy, and staff is to implement that policy. Here, staff is doing the opposite of that policy. Staff is going and reducing the amount of economic development at the airport with this action. Listen, they didn't replace it. There's no replacement value. This is what it is. Staff is not adhering to our board policy.
Let me just go out one step further. As a business person, the economic growth of that fuel farm being there isn't that basically it may 2-3 years down the road expand our economic capabilities. Have you considered that?
Mr. Chair.
Just a question.
We're about to put 14 people out of work. I have a motion on the table to please extend their lease for 1 year.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Oliver. Well, with that being said, I think we've heard from everybody in the audience. We've heard from
Chairman Hurston, you need to call for a second on that.
So we have a second motion?
No, I believe that's a stated motion. I think it's your obligation under Robert's rules to call for a second on that.
Yes.
If there is no second, then it will die.
Well, we did call for a second on that motion.
I believe I believe she's now made a second.
Second motion, very good. All right.
So we have the wording
I
on.
apologize for the she. It's Commissioner Oliver has made a second motion.
Second motion.
Commissioner
All right.
Oliver needs a second on that motion. If there is none, then the motion will simply die. As chairperson, I'd request that you poll the board for a second. If there is none, then the motion will die.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that reminder. All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
I think you gotta
Do I hear a second?
restate the motion.
I ask that we extend the lease term for 1 year. If I can restate it in some way that makes it more palatable, please let me know. I'm open to friendly amendments.
I'll go ahead and I'll second it, see what happens. So you're open for discussion?
Yeah, we are. Okay, we have a second. We are open for discussion.
All right, if we do this for a year, what guarantee do we have that Mr. Goins will not be actively seeking another place to move his business to when he says it's impossible to move it now? We need it for the fuel farm, is what I understood, as a safety measure, and also for the fuel farm to expand, which is our way of making money with airplanes coming in and out. So I think the problem here, and I've been through this, where you have to, you're told you have to leave. My husband had a small business and was very thriving and everything, and well, they needed a massage parlor, so they threw him out and put in a massage parlor. He had to leave. He had to go to another place and was successful in the second place. But anyway, not here nor there, so I am familiar with someone saying out and get out now. And it's not nice, and I have to say that. But what guarantee after even the year, Vanessa, will he be able to? Who's going to help him? How is he going to motivate himself and these 14 men to find another place when we've been told he can't move? I mean, it seems like a no-win situation on both sides.
I will say I philosophically feel like the airport, we tout ourselves as being so open for business. Can't we find a workable solution and work with Mr. Goen? I understand there's some history that I am very unclear about. I think our director of HR had to negotiate the lease. I don't know what happened at some point. Ms. Desguin was involved in the lease negotiations. I don't understand why that would be. So obviously there's some issues that are...
She was a witness, I believe.
Because Ms. Desglin was our property manager before she was just our HR director. As we've grown, we now need a full-time HR director. When we hired her, we didn't. She has a background in property management.
If I may comment real quick, Kathleen's question was, what happens at the end of the year?
Yeah.
That's why my original motion was to allow them just to stay indefinitely. There's no place in our master plan where it specifically says that this building is to be replaced and taken off of our revenue generating roles. That's plain and simple. You all keep saying it's in the master plan, it's in the master plan. Show me where it's in the master plan. It's not there.
All right, does that answer your question, Kathleen?
Well, it was my understanding it was needed to expand the fuel farm.
I guess the answer was indefinitely.
There's no guarantees in life, but we philosophically say that we're open for business. Let's find a workable solution. Let's just work with people. Let's work with our businesses and be friendly to them.
It's
Robert.
Listening to all this, and I did make the second, I think that there may be some common ground here. I'm just hypothetical. We extend the lease for 1 year, but during that 1 year period, we expect Gulf Contours to come back with a proposal on what they're going to do and where they're going to go. Picking up on your suggestion, Mr. Chairman, the proposal needs to come from them.
You're saying at the 6-month period, they need to come back to this board and report to us?
Within the year.
Yeah, well, I agree. They ought to, 6 months is enough to plan with the situation, which may get worse. I know your wife thinks that's funny, but
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Is the repair to the wall done?
I haven't been in the building lately.
Maybe we should take a tour of the building. No? I've been in there, but it's been a
But
very
is the
long
repair to the
time.
wall done? That wall was modified in violation of the lease and in violation of code,
Oh, is that true?
correct?
I guess, Mr. Goins, can you answer that question? Was the wall repaired?
I'm sorry, I have hearing aids.
Sure.
I'm not hearing all of what you're saying. What was that?
Paul, please ask the question.
Is the wall repaired that was damaged
No.
by the fire?
It
A
will
wall-
be.
A wall that was modified in violation of the lease.
Oh, we didn't do that. Your contractors did that, Paul. Your contractors did that. Jim, when that building was put back together, those holes and those things were put in by your people. No, they weren't? Okay. You were not there all the time. They were put in by your people. The hole in the ceiling, which would add the one first vent fan, was not adequate. We also opened the guys, the construction guys opened that wall. We did not. Now,
Mr. Goins? I
yes,
think
we
it's-
wanted it open,
I
but
think
they
it's-
did the hard, we were not told. In the inspection, it was there when that building, when we took possession of that, everything was working, and when the final inspection was there, those pieces were installed.
Thank you, Mr. Goins. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Robert, yes, sir.
You have a motion on the floor that has been seconded to extend their lease for 1 year with,
Well, we're still in discussion.
well,
And that's a question I have
Yeah.
before I would like to vote.
To answer your question, Paul, we will fix that wall. We have, the insurance company has involved in it. We have a valid estimate, written estimate, but I'm not paying to put insulation in a wall that doesn't need it, number one. And just to be forced to do it because it was there, you weren't forced to put new insulation in the building where my people swelter in the summertime and your insulation failed. Now, I'll be happy to repair it. We said we would. We've got it ready to go. But I'm not going to spend another $3,000 to put insulation in those walls. Yeah, it was there when the building was built just because that was part of the whole deal. But is it necessary? The firewall will be there. The insulation does not provide anything in the way of firewall protection because it melts, goes away. The drywall and everything else. We've got all of that, and it's written down. And our contractor came to you people. Now, as far as those two things that you're talking about that permeate that wall, we know we've got to put a dampener on one of them. We know that. The one in the ceiling does not need that, but the one in the wall that goes between the mechanical room and the dust collection room, we know we've got to put what they call a dampener or something, kind of a shutter system on there so that that will not be able to, it's not going to remain open in the event of a reoccurrence. The same thing, there has to be a seal around where the dust collector pipe comes through the wall and enters the dust collection. We know that, and we're willing to do that. We have no problem with that.
Does that answer your question, Paul?
It answers some of my question, but I'm still not clear.
So the answer is
Who
no.
did the work?
Yeah.
The wall was cut by your people, the people you hired.
First time around.
There was no other, I'm sorry,
But I just,
you weren't there, I was. When we putting that building together was a nightmare. And I bet you that Mr. Parrish could justify the people that were doing the work there were not of very high quality. They didn't speak English, they were Russian. You couldn't even communicate with them, but it was the only people you could get. Yeah, we asked them to do it. It was all fine. I don't know who, I didn't know whether it was approved or unapproved. Certainly did at that time, 17 years ago. Maybe the inspections weren't anywhere near what they are today. But I'll tell you flat out, yeah, I bought the fan to go in there, and I bought the fan for the ceiling, but they cut and framed the hole for us.
Chairman Hurston, I just
Yes,
need to
sir.
clarify something. I
Yes.
believe Ms. Oliver made the motion to extend this for 1 year.
Yes.
I believe Mr. Hansik seconded that under the perspective that it was a definite, you have to leave in 1 year. I heard Ms. Oliver speak to the point of it being, quote, indefinite. I want to make sure that we have clarity associated with Ms. Oliver's motion. If it is for an indefinite lease, you should state that clearly. If it's for 1 year, as Mr. Hansig states, you should state that second as clearly, it's only for 1 year. I just don't want any misunderstanding by anything. So I would then, again, ask if your motion is for an indefinite stay, that you state your motion clearly as that.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. It was, my motion was for 1 year. When Ms. Coble asked a question, I responded that my preference would have been indefinite, but my motion that is on the table and that I believe has been seconded by Commissioner Hansik is for 1 year.
And is it my understanding that the lease would then terminate at that time? I believe that's what Mr. Hansik stated. I just don't want to get in a position where I have to effectuate something that I can't because it's indefinite.
Understood.
Is that your understanding?
If the only way that this is getting seconded today, and I guess that's up to Mr. Hansik, I would leave it open for potential renewal to come back here, but if Mr. Hansik will not second that motion, then I will make it not renewable.
Well, I don't know that I've ever had contingent motions before me
It's
under Robert's
contingent,
rule.
let's go with it.
So let's do this. Why don't you make the motion one way, and if it doesn't get a second,
I
you
was
can
just
try
hoping for
another.
a little feedback from Commissioner Hansik.
Well, remember, we have your motion on the table, but you've been now stated it differently. So I'm just trying to get clarification on your original motion.
My original motion was to extend the lease for a term of 1 year.
And Mr. Hansik, I understood you to second that for the purposes of a 1-year hard termination date.
Hard termination date.
Then during discussion, madam, you said the word indefinite. I just want to make sure that the understanding of your motion is clear by the members of the board. If you're unwilling to accept the second with the concept that it's only for 1 year hard termination, then you should restate your motion.
I'm not restating my motion, thank you.
Well, then the second doesn't.
Then you're withdrawing your second, sir?
I apologize.
Excuse me, madam. Are you withdrawing your second, sir?
I'm going to withdraw it based on an indefinite. You're saying indefinitely is what I hear.
No, that's not. I was saying I'm not restating it. I'll have it be a hard and fast 1 year.
And I
That
would,
clear? We
No.
good? No?
No.
You all.
Why don't we withdraw the original motion and state a new one?
And second.
Okay, at this juncture, again, I'm just trying to keep this in order. There is a withdrawal of the second based upon your clarification.
I think it was a misstatement of my clarification. My clarification is this. My motion is to extend the lease for a term of 1 year and 1 year only.
Mr. Hansik, do you second that motion as
Hard and
stated?
fast after 1 year, because this brings it to 5 years we've been working on it. We've got a 1 year extension, period. Very good.
And Ms. Oliver, is that how you understand your motion is made?
Yes.
Okay, so again, I don't want to restate this, I just need clarification. You're making a motion that we extend this lease for 1 year
Yes.
and it terminates at that time.
Yes.
Mr. Hansik, you have seconded it under that basis.
Yes.
Okay.
Discussion. Kathleen?
Yes, I have the question. Within this 1 year, you realize you would have to be out at the end of the year. What provisions would you be able to make to accomplish that? Or do you plan to come back? Yeah.
I have, you people seem to think that I've been sitting on my back end and doing nothing to this year. Had it been a normal 2 years, if you don't believe me, Kathleen, then there's nothing we can say about it. I will do the same thing I have been doing and have had no success. If I get success in the next year, I'll be very happy to move wherever, hopefully, but to be very honest with you, if we are unsuccessful at that particular time, what do I do? What would you do? If there is no alternative, there is no way to secure a sale of the business, whatever the case may be, what would you do?
Well,
You walk away and just close the doors? No, you wouldn't. You'd fight for your business.
You have to find another place.
I will try to find another place. I will give you due diligence all the way down the line that I will do it. Either you believe me or you don't believe me.
Well, from my perspective, looking at all of this, you've been told that you have to get out for several years, and you've not done anything to...
So you see sitting there.
Oh, you have, so you're telling us you have looked at other...
Certainly I have.
And there's no
Wait a
place
minute,
to go?
what?
There's no place?
I have only so many limited, and when people tell me there ain't nothing wrong other than what's going on down the road here, have I talked to people about buying it? I was up to Tiffin Motorhomes 2 weeks ago. They have just sold to Thor Motorhomes, which could be the biggest gold mine for us, because now we've got access to the Thor 32 models of motorhomes to build for. When the COVID came in, the talks stopped. They didn't know what was going on. Now, the talks have started up. I have spent 2 hours with Van Tiffin in his office in Red Bay, Alabama. I have talked to, I will bet you, at least 10 other potential people. Have I talked to anybody for a new building? Certainly. I've had people scouring for me. I can move to Fort Myers. There's a bunch of buildings in Fort Myers. Northport's got some stuff up there in the north end. I would lose, to move to Fort Myers, these people sitting back here would probably not drive all the way to Fort Myers. They live in Port Charlotte for the most part. Now, you're either going to believe me that I will take all that I can do to do that, and I will give you my assurances, so you're either going to believe me or you're not.
Kathleen?
Commissioner Coppola, I want you to make sure you clearly understand the motion is it's a one-year extension
1 year.
and it will terminate at that time. That is the motion before us and seconded.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Attorney?
Are you through, Kathleen?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything.
Thank you, Mr. Gomes. All right.
How many times have we heard over the years this exact same thing? Even before COVID. I mean,
You have only heard me up here in the last 2 years. You haven't heard me before that. It was only in the last 2 years of the lease that we have had discussions in front of the board.
Is it because you were dealing with staff on the first?
Pardon me?
Is it because you were dealing with staff on the first lease?
I've never dealt with staff.
Okay.
I've never had a conversation with Mr. Parrish. A lease was delivered to our office. It was written off the internet. Was it not? That had to be changed?
I don't believe it was written off the internet. No, it's a very...
It was a pretty poor lease. You were able, with our meeting there, where that lease went, there was no discussion about that lease with anybody from staff. Nobody.
Which one are you referring to, sir?
Pardon me?
Which lease are you referring to?
Any of the last two leases, the one 4 years ago that we had with a 2-year extension, there was absolutely no discussion. Paul Andrews came in one time with Gary Quill and discussed some stuff on that, but that was not, that was when we had some problems with back rents and everything else. We settled that at that time.
Mr. Goen, I have to correct your history recollection on that. I think you'll recall that both me and Ms. Desquin met with you during the...
I'm sorry, I'm having part of the hearing.
I think I need to correct your history recollection regarding the original lease that you came under. I negotiated that with you through Ms. Desquin. You objected to the format of that and presented to the board your objections at that time, and then you went ahead and signed the lease.
Yes.
So there was plenty of discussion relative to the first lease.
There was plenty of discussion 4 years ago?
Yes, sir. I met with you personally on site along with Ms. Desquin.
4 years ago you did?
Yes, sir. I stood in your building and you showed me around.
You sat there 2 years ago when we signed the second lease. You weren't there 4 years ago.
That's incorrect, sir.
All right.
In follow-up to Mr. Chairman, what Paul said, there's no question, it's in the minutes, Jerry, that I got this same subject in a workshop in October of 2020. No, you didn't show.
I didn't show up. I never knew anything about the workshop that we invited.
Let me go on one more time. I scheduled it again in February of 2021, a workshop, same subject, and you didn't show up.
I was never told that this workshop was, Rob, that is not, you never told me that that workshop concerned me. I'm not dumb. I would have been there, and it isn't that I didn't show up. Come on, that is incorrect. That is flat out incorrect. I did not know that these workshops were, you have various things on it. And also at your workshops, the people are not supposed to have any chance to give opinions in those. That's supposed to be an interaction between you people. Rob, you're wrong. I was never invited to those.
Well, I'm not going to argue. There's been enough arguments going on.
All right.
Okay.
We, as I understand it, we have a clear motion from Commissioner Oliver for a definite one-year lease extension.
And the lease is to terminate at that time. And that is what Mr. Hansik has seconded.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say no.
No, can't do it now.
All right, motion fails 4-1. And with that being said, that concludes our agenda for this emergency meeting, and this meeting is adjourned.